Taph, forsaken strap specialist whose help comes from well-set wires and colorful explosions. But he is also the one survivor who's often considered to be bottom of the barrel. So, why is that? The main problem lies in his abilities. His first ability, Tripwire, allows Taph to set down a wire on the ground, which when walked over by the round's killer, applies slowness 2 to them for 4 seconds, and reveals the killer's location to Taph and all the survivors close to Taph for 8 seconds. Taph's second ability, Subspace Trip Mine, has him construct the mine and throw it in front of himself, which when triggered by the killer, or after 35 seconds of idly laying on the ground, explodes. The explosions then can apply either 2 effects or only 1, depending on the way the trap was triggered. If the trap was set off by itself, the killer will be affected by Subspace 3 for 5 seconds, and Helpless 1 for 3 seconds, as well as having their camera move in a certain direction. However, if the trap was set off by killer's attack, they will only receive Subspace to 1, which literally just brightens up the screen. The main weakness of the bomb lies in the fact that even Taph himself is not immune to its explosion. He will receive the same effects from it as the killer, if he is close enough when the explosion takes place. But all of that doesn't even sound that bad and can certainly happen in various situations. The trip mine can easily be thrown in a dead end to apply either Helpless or to take away 1 and 1 from the killer in order to help the survivor run away. Or it can even make the killer get incredibly confused and let the survivor go. I've had so situation happen to me from time to time, and the trip mine is pretty damn good. But I will talk about its negatives later on. The tripwire, on the other hand, is really hard to get use out of. The main problem is that how many maps there are that just don't have really good spots for those tripwires. They have wooden stakes that, despite the best we'll talk about later on, never go invisible, meaning that if you can't hide them, the killer will easily just find them. And even if the trap itself is invisible, those stakes will give it off, making the killer easily break them. But even then, those tripwires can be placed in quite tricky locations, which will allow the survivor to pass easily, while the killer, who will have a hard time seeing those tripwires, will just get, affected by the load and give the survivor at least some distance. But we also will have to talk about its problems later on, and why that slowness doesn't matter at all. So, even during the talk about those little situations where the traps can help, you could hear about some of the problems. And those problems, and I'm not even touching any bottom stuff, I'm talking about everything on the surface, is that the traps are incredibly easy to see, the effects barely affect the killer, and they can be broken with only 1 and 1 from the killer, or, if the trap stays up, it was hit by an attack that gives a highlight. And traps can be highlighted, meaning that the corrupt nature, entanglement, all of those attacks, they will just render the trap useless, because the killer will just see it and break it. That hurts. But that really isn't that big of an issue. A competent killer doesn't even have to hit those attacks. They can just easily break them with M1s. But the problem... There's another problem, and it's the cooldowns. So his first ability, Tripwire, has a cooldown of 20 seconds, which only starts after you have set it down, meaning that the 5 seconds you have spent on setting the trap up won't be accounted, and meaning that you're kinda just gonna have to wait 25 seconds now to set a tripwire. But sure, you can have 2 taps. Two taps can set 2 traps in 20 seconds. Okay. What about the subspace trip mine? 40. 40 if the killer doesn't pass by. If the killer does, then it's like roughly 35 seconds. Yep. 35 seconds. If it's activated by the killer. Alright. Alright, yeah, you can have two taps. They can still like set like two trip mines. Yeah, they will just be two useless mines. Because you won't have Taph chase the survivor and place a mine on them. Wanna know why? Because it's incredibly hard to throw a mine and for it not to bounce to God knows where and just be ignored. The animation is also long as hell. If you do it, you're just wasting your time. You're not gonna help the survivor. If the survivor doesn't actually notice that you were setting down a trip mine, it will not run towards it. And yeah, now you have wasted 40 seconds. Right? But let's say Taph does actually land a subspace trip mine or like a tripwire goes off. What then? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So a competent killer will easily, and I mean easily, counter the trip mine's screen effect. It's not that hard, especially with a lot of colorful skins in the game. The mouse movement, easily countered. It literally won't give the killer like any sort of trouble. He can also like use the other direction movement keys to, like, you know, while he's turning he can like use the side run, which is still slower than a normal run, but it's not that slow, so they can just easily turn around, and all the killers are faster than survivors. To varying degrees, yes, but they are still faster, they will still catch up to you. So, alright, for that we have tripwires, right? So like, if he steps on a tripwire, he'll just get slowness and still catch up. 1x still, during his chases, has his entanglement. John Doe does struggle, but his attack was the way his spikes move. Yeah, he can just use the spikes if you're getting too far away, and he will definitely use the attack of, like, you know, turning around. So there you have to depend on the team to like shoot him so the spikes don't hit you. So yeah, Jason and Cool Kid just get tied to your speed. They're just moving the same speed as you, so like by the time the slowness ends, they're still gonna catch up. Because they still have more stamina than you, and they're faster. And that's not even mentioning the fact that both of the traps can just be easily like broken. It's really like it's really a joke about how useless those traps are. Now, how can we fix that? How can we make Taph stronger? How can we make him actually useful? And it's really easy. Like, one of the fixes that I think he needs is not having the trip mine just go off after 35 seconds. I think he should be able to set more than one. Like, you shouldn't need three taps to have actual good usage of trip mines. I think only one should be able to set like at least like some sort of limited quantity of trip mines. I think being able to set three max for in one time as Taph should really be good. Like, why shouldn't he be allowed to do that? And if he tries to set 4, the first ones that he plays will blow up, and it will continue in that like circle of like 1, 2, 3, and like it blows up, you know, the first one, while the new third is placed. I think that should work. As for the tripwires, I think we can easily just give it like stamina drain. Like, make it drain like at least like from 5 to 20 stamina. I think 10 would be perfect. I think like cutting off 1 second from the stamina bar could be incredibly good and make the tripwires actually risky to not destroy, especially because most of the time like most ones don't give you any slowness. so you can just keep run. Like, I think that's really stupid how M1s don't give you any slowness. Like, it's kind of stupid that you like attack and it gives you like no problems with like attacking, especially with how goofy some of those animations look. I think like yeah, that's just stupid, but alright. But yeah, this will give tripwires like some sort of actual use, because if you let them live and you pass by them, not only do you get slowness, you also lose 1 second of your stamina bar. And that's actually gonna affect the chase, because now you have stamina tied to survivor. Meaning that if they were managing stamina correctly, you're at a disadvantage right now. But boy, oh boy, I have to talk about one thing that pisses me off the most about Taph. That is 2 minutes and 30 seconds for his tripwire to go fully invisible. That's the most stupid thing I have read in his entire kit. And the funniest thing is, most of the time, as the timer seems to be just broken. I have no idea how it works, but I'm pretty sure it only works if like for like a trap that you just set like second. I think it doesn't affect all the traps. I think it only affects the newly placed one. Because I had set a trap. There was one time I have set a trap. I still don't have footage, but I set a trap up in the beginning of the round. Its transparency did not change at all. But the transparency of the damn second tripwire placed, it has gone fully invisible. It was placed later, it has gone fully invisible, while the first one did not change at all. I don't understand why it's 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Most rounds are 4 minutes long. Most rounds. I'm pretty sure most rounds are gonna be 4 minutes long. And if you do generators, it's less. Unless the killer actually does his job. The passive is too overturned. I don't think it needs to be 2 minutes. I think 1:30 should be good enough. 1 minute 30 seconds. It baffles me. It baffles me so much that it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. 2 minutes and 30 seconds for it to go invisible. That's just stupid. It shouldn't be that long. There wooden stakes never go invisible. They're always there. And the way most staffs play their traps, that shit is always visible. You'd have to be legally blind to actually not see those traps, because those stakes are incredibly easy to see. And that is like a big problem for Taph. Like, let me just talk about it. The wooden stakes of tripwires are the biggest way you can tell when a trap is there. Even with the passive, the wooden stakes never go away, and that literally just kills the trap. And actually, the easiest way to counter that is by being creative. The newly added Pirate Bay map is wonderful. It's my favorite map as Taph because of how much greenery and how many good spots for traps there are. You can use the bushes, the trees, the varying decoration on the map to hide your stakes so that the trap itself pretty much becomes invisible. It's wonderful. I will most probably include some footage right now to show you those traps, like how just beautiful they are. They're just wonderful. Mwah. Pirate Bay is like a good map for Taph. I'd say the second good map would be the Horror Hotel. I think that's how it's called. That map is really good. Assassin's Hunting Grounds. It's alright. I think it's alright. There are really good spots for traps, but the overall color scheme just makes the traps pretty easy to see most of the time. And Like you was like you can only really set it more like a trap from only one side, because the other side is always going to be visible due to the colors. There is barely anything to hide your mind with, your wires with. And they just like, what else do we have? Brandon Works. Is there a really good spots there? I must roll the overall over this. Yep, I'm gonna include a lot of the spots I'm talking about, like yeah, like really good spots in my opinion, because the traps are mostly hidden and they're pretty damn good. But the main problem lies with the fact that like the competent killer is just always gonna see them. The best you can do is like hide them at least from one side, because it's pretty much impossible to hide them from two sides. Planet Was, it sucks. It just sucks. There's like no good spots for tripwires there. Trip mines, definitely. Trip mines can definitely affect the chases there. But tripwires, no, not on Planet Was. That map is just dog shit. I think adding greenery to it, like bushes, stuff like that, will help a lot. But yeah. Other than that, it's absolute dog shit. It's just dog shit. And what other map do we have? Oof. Most really some really bad map. Like really bad maps that I'm feeling bad. Or it might be from WAS, because Yorick's Resting Place is an incredible map. I love it. But the main problem is that a lot of traps are expected there. You will just have like, you know, the killer pre-firing those M1s when you entering Dimension. And the graveyard, it has some good spots. I'll definitely include them, because yeah, it's pretty nice. Trip mines can also be placed in some really good places. But overall, yeah, it's still the same problem as all the other like things. Most of the traps you're gonna be setting are gonna be one-sided, as in you will only see the one side of them. But from the other sides, it will be pretty much invisible, and that's like just a problem for every trap. Pretty much like on most maps, that's the problem, which makes Taph just completely useless. But yeah, all of that I said just now, it's pretty much, yeah, what just makes Taph incredibly useless. He's definitely top 1 survivor in all of Forsaken, only rival by pre-rework 2-time. Because yeah, he's just not killing him first it's gonna lead you to a lot of problems. But in all honesty, yeah, he's like really bad. His traps barely affect the chases, and like really the best you can have from Taph is the killer reveal. Like for Dusakar, yeah, that's for Dusakar, yeah, he works. I just don't do that. Don't ship them, please. Like them being working pretty well together as like two supports, two really underrated supports. Even so, Taph is not really underrated. He can be underrated. He's actually just dog shit. But like yeah, Dusakar definitely is underrated. He's strong as fuck. He was my first main, and he's definitely like incredibly powerful. A good Dusakar will ruin your day, and leaving him alive will like be detrimental. But the main problem is that if you try to chase him, as I said, it's a good Dusakar. He's all just a waste your time, and then you just get stunned and Dusakar runs away. But Dusakar literally counters John Doe's passive. So like yeah. Tell me about it, right? John Doe, yeah, John Doe, bye-bye to your speed boost. So yeah, Dusakar is really good. I'm definitely not gonna be talking about him though. You should just play him. It's great. But yeah, that's about it. Can't really say much about Taph anymore, except for the fact that he's dog shit.